Imagine doing a happy hour for happy 8 hours.
And you just said that as we are now live.
I
Good
would
job.
probably die.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, now that we are live, to anybody that's watching, if you're watching, please jump on the chat and say hi. We'd love to know who is joining us and let us know what you are drinking. Welcome to the second episode of our happy hour. Basically, if you're new to this concept, it is just Thomas and I getting together with you, the viewers, and our guests for each month, just hanging out, having a drink, having some good old fun. Hi, Louise. How are you doing? And our guest today is the beautiful, wonderful, amazing Cami from Cami's Korner. Mabuti. Mabuti ikaw. So thank you,
thank
Cami.
you very much.
So, Cami, please tell us, introduce yourself, and let us know what you are drinking.
You gave me a very nice introduction. Thank you very much. Tonight, I have decided on Di Serono on the rocks. I was going to drink Jameson, but I decided that I wanted to be somewhat coherent this evening. So I went with the Di Serono because it's a little lighter. Introduce myself. So I am Cami from Cami's Korner. Some of you may know me. I'm hoping that we have some friends here. I have been doing YouTube now since July of 2017. I started off as a kids channel and noticed very quickly that kids just things other than unboxing toys. So I kind of ventured out from that. Although I do still cover kids content, I just found my other niche, which was horror. And I've been focusing on that. And that has actually grown my channel and helped me to succeed and find a platform. Beyond that, I am now an Arizona native. I am originally from the New Mexico, Texas region, though. So sometimes I'll have a drawl. It just comes out, it might come out when I drink because that does tend to happen. So I'm just warning y'all. See, y'all, here we go.
Don't worry, I'll understand you.
Yeah, he does it too. His southern accent comes out. It's crazy.
The great thing is I'm from Ohio. So.
It's weird. Well, my daddy's from Texas, so that's where it tends to come out. And when I drink things that are a Scotch persuasion, that's when I have the tendency to have it. But other than that, that's just a little intro on me. But ask away, whatever you want to know, whatever is on your mind. I am an open book.
Well, I'll leave it to you, Thomas.
I gotta come up with all interesting things.
Because you're very good. Okay, fine. I'll start out. So I honestly had no idea that your channel started as like a kids type of channel. Because when I found your channel, I saw horror. And so that was just when you mentioned that on your channel that you originally did, kids unboxing was just like mind blown. Just mind blown. So what is one of your all-time favorite horror books? What I want to know.
All-time favorite horror book would probably be probably the same as one of my all-time favorite movies, and that's the Amityville Horror, the original though, not the crap remake. The only reason I think that is because I have a tendency to not scare very easily. However, when I know something is real or really happened, it tends to sit uneasy with me. So I think that with that, possibly, I mean, it hasn't been 100% confirmed that all of that occurred in the house. Of course, the murder did. But if it is in fact true, it just sits weird with me. So it's the only movie that I still watch to this day and leave a light on afterwards.
What was the movie that came out right around the same time as Amityville Horror, maybe a little bit after? Rose Red was in it.
I have no
That's
idea
one of the first ones. Rose Red came out. It was the house.
The house that Gore built?
I'm not sure. Oh, I just had a massive brain fart.
Well, while he's thinking about that, I just want to share a funny story as to why I'm not into horror, because my father traumatized me as a child. So, my birthday's on Halloween, and my dad.
Yes, which is awesome.
I know. Well, it would be awesome, right? If I was into horror things. My dad thought it would be funny. He had this this scary, grim, I guess kind of grim Reaper costume, and he had this pump that pumped fake blood through him. So I had my friends over, we took a picture, and I'm already like queasy with my dad in the scary skeletal costume because those things just creep me out. My dad was holding my hand, and he slowly turns his head, like very slowly, and he goes down, he goes, boo, and I scream. I run the other way. I run completely the opposite direction. And ever since then, I didn't like anything scary. And he likes to do stuff like that. Do you know the movie The Ring with Samara?
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
my dad teased me that he was gonna, you know, make a that. Yeah. It's
Thomas, you need to fix this. That was a very sad story.
Well, it doesn't help that I threatened to use.
Oh yeah.
I finally got to watch the new It, which I thought was very good. The new one, and I finally got her to watch it, and then I threatened if she kept being a butthead, I was going to tie red balloons around our bed while she was sleeping because I get up
That's
before
awesome.
day shift. Yeah, she didn't think it was so great.
No.
I'm sorry that I'm on my phone. I'm trying to figure out what this movie is that I very much enjoyed.
Oh no, that's okay. I figured that's what you were doing. I do that all the time. I'm always the endless source of useless information for everyone. So you'll constantly see me in my phone, and it's not because I'm being rude. It's because I'm typically looking for info with the conversation.
Louis says he wants to read It by Stephen King. Good on you. I can't do it even after watching the movies. I don't know. After watching the original movie It, before the remake, I had to sleep with my sister for like a good few weeks before I could sleep in my own bed.
What am I going to do with you, Lori? That is like not the scariest movie at all. Not even a little bit. The original is so cheesy, and
Which one?
I need to get you the original miniseries. I need to get you on a real horror playing field. I just need to gradually work you up because yeah, that's not at all scary.
That's scary to me because I have a fear with spiders, and the It reminded me of this giant spider, and I have a fear of spiders, so that didn't help. I'm like, my fear of spiders is like Ron Weasley's fear of spiders. It is bad.
Oh, so I take it you've never seen Arachnophobia.
Actually, I got her to watch that. I also got her to watch Eight-Legged Freaks, and she about died.
Arachnophobia kind of freaked me out, but in my defense, I watched it when I was like 6 or 7. So, but see, the love of horror started very young for me. So that's another reason I think I'm very desensitized to a lot of things. My mom had walked in on me watching the Nightmare on Elm Street and the original, and I was about 4 at the time. And she's like, you know, you really shouldn't be watching this. This is not for you. And I turned around kind of, you know, Exorcist style and looked at her and said, but I like it. So she told me again, I needed to turn it off. So I went off, and then she asked me to go play outside. So I went outside, and mind you, this is the first time I had ever seen this movie. So I went outside, I proceeded to pick up a jump rope and started jump roping while singing, 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. And my mom proceeded to open the front screen door and said, you are a sick little child. You can come in and finish your movie.
I remembered it.
And that was it.
I can't do it.
Rose Red.
Oh, okay. That to me was
I never read the books, but I enjoyed both movies.
The book I think was better than the movie, but even that was nothing to write home about.
I enjoyed it.
But yeah.
I thought the suspense was good, and it kind of kept you like, okay, is this going to be like, what's going to happen next?
I think with exorcisms, for me, it has to just pack a punch. I don't know. I have high expectations when it comes to exorcisms. And that's kind of hard when you are so immersed in a genre, because it's very hard to wow me anymore or, you know, take me aback. I guess it was around October timeframe, I watched, what was it? Jack Ketchum's, oh goodness, now it's escaping me.
Oh no. Is the alcohol kicking in?
I know. It's quite possible. I'm feeling warm and fuzzy. It'll come to me. But to the point where I wanted to throw up, that's how much it affected me. That for me was a very memorable movie, because now, of course, memorable in the sense that I can't remember the damn title, but it just a lot anymore to do something like that for me in the horror genre, because I have seen it all. I've done it all. Although I must say I'm not really into gore. It's really super gory. It just, to me, that's not horrific or scary. That's just gross.
Like the Saw movies. I know the Saw movies are just gory, from what I understand.
That though, and I've had this conversation with Steve before. He says the same thing. He kind of intertwines that with gore, but I don't. And the reason for that is because there's a lesson to be learned in every. That's why I appreciate the whole Saw genre, or the whole series, because it really sparked a thought-provoking process within you. There's a moral and a lesson to be learned here. And that's the same thing can be said for Hellraiser. A lot of people think the same thing of Hellraiser. They think that it's lost on deaf ears because it's gory and he's nothing short of, Satan himself. But he's giving them exactly what they want, and they just don't realize it. So be careful what you ask for. So I love movies like that honestly just stop and make you think.
I can appreciate that. I'm not the biggest horror fan. I like the suspense, but if it's just there to like scare the crap out of me, I'm like, no, I'm good.
No, there is something that he is afraid of. He's afraid of heights.
Yeah, I don't like heights.
I have read that you're afraid of heights. You're afraid of falling. So there really is no true fear of heights. It's just a fear of falling.
It's the fear of the ground rushing up into my face.
He makes them so
yeah.
So detailed.
I don't even like being on like
The Girl Next Door. That's what it's called, guys. The Girl Next Door. If you don't like gore, don't watch it.
That was a movie.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's a book and a movie, and I have yet to read the book. The book is going to eventually be on Harrowing Horror. I haven't picked it yet, and to be quite honest, if it's anything like the movie, and I've heard that it is, I'm deathly afraid, because the movie was one step short of wrecking me completely. And honestly, it took me about a week frag and be able to watch a horror movie again after that.
I remember watching it. I feel like my mind's kind of like blocked it out. I know I watched either most of it, or I stopped watching it, or I finished it and I just don't remember.
I had to stop that bad for a moment.
Yeah, because Jamie, my sister, she loves watching horror. So that could have been where she got it from, or she used to watch it all the time. And I was still living at home around that time. So it could have been. I can't remember.
It's intense.
I think the last horror book that I read was Goosebumps.
Wow.
I don't think she's going to consider that.
Catching up to do, Thomas.
I mean, as a kid, I considered that horror, but obviously it's not.
Well, it is, honestly. And I mean, for all of us horror nuts, and you can check anybody's channel, Cameron Chaney's channel, anyone that does horror on a consistent basis, we will all give props to where it started. And for us, it's always with Goosebumps, and then from there, R.L. Stine. And that took us into the world of Christopher Pike. And, you just slowly, gradually found it. And for me, I mean, I'm a decade older than the two of you. For me, I grew up in an era where we did not have YA. YA literally consisted of about 2 shelves in the bookstore right before you got to the children's section. And it was all Goosebumps, R.L. Stine, and Christopher Pike. Then when Buffy the Vampire Slayer hit, it was like, it just changed novelizations completely. So then you got a huge Buffy series, and then Charmed came out right after that. And then YA just kind of happened. And really, I accredit Twilight to a lot of that, because of the fact that Twilight was so popular, it became a thing. And now we have YA, which some people say is not really a genre, that we need to stop calling it a genre, but it is, because it's written differently. It's written for teens, you know, it's written with them in mind.
It can be written really, it's written really easily, and written very easy to read.
Oh, looks like the jack's getting to you.
I misunderstood what I was trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
I knew what the point was. I couldn't find the words. Words are hard, okay?
They are, especially for a crayon-eating Marine.
Yeah. So, since Goosebumps is our common area, what would you say? Did you ever read the Goosebumps where you could like pick which way you wanted to go? At the bottom.
No, I didn't even know those were a thing, to be honest. I did the choose your own adventure growing up, but those weren't scary. Well, they weren't intended horror, but you know, there was like one about that or something like that. You know, so you had an occasional scary plot line. But no, I was not aware that there was choose your own adventures in Goosebumps until just recently.
Yeah, I enjoyed those. I definitely this reminds the Twilight.
Big in Twilight IDNF, that series.
Yeah, she did. It's okay. Me, Leia, Tabby, and I don't remember if this was during the show or if this was prior to for the Twilight when I was actually involved in the live show for that. We actually discussed how big of an impact Twilight made on the YA genre. And just how much of an impact it made on and I don't want to say too much into society, but it made a pretty big impact into that age.
Oh, it absolutely did. I mean, to be honest, I really wasn't. Well, okay, at the time, I was working at Barnes & Noble. So for me, anything that was immensely popular, I would avoid like the plague, because I didn't want to be what he was reading. It just seemed, you know, overwhelming to me to let everyone else pick what I was interested in. So I actually started Twilight with the movies, and I became an instant Twihard. That's what we refer to ourselves as, because I became obsessed with Edward Cullen. There was just something so magical about spoke and the way, I mean, the acting is absolutely horrific. And I noticed that straight from the start, you know, definite B-list acting. But the story, I mean, I was in my early 20s when that came out. So, you know, for me, it worked. From there, from, you know, admiring the movies, then I became, you know, interested in the books. But that was well after over it and had already read it. But it took a long time for Twilight to kind of die down. And I think it definitely changed not only literature, but I think it really changed the way that society viewed teens and teen angst and teen love. And, you know, there was a lot that went into that.
Oh, the teen angst is real. It's real. Too much. I can't. It's just too much.
Our daughter's 3 going on 16.
I'm screwed.
She was sick the last couple of days and decided that, while I'm sick, I'm also going to develop this. I'm going to tell mommy how to do things.
This was her like the other day. Mommy, I'm hungry now. I'm like, oh, just because you're sick does not mean that you can talk to me like that, little lady. You can wait until I make you some lunch.
And she doesn't do that to me.
No.
She'll come up and she'll go,
of course not.
Daddy, what are you going to make? Nothing. You can wait for it now. Okay. And she'll run along and do her little thing.
Girls and dads are different, though. Girls will test their moms, but we don't really test our dads. We have like a tendency to just kind of ease into it.
I agree.
I feel like that's going to tie up all the way. I think it's just going to get worse until she turns like 20. And then her and Lori are going to have an understanding, and then they're finally just going to like mellow out.
Why? You make me...
Because that's how moms and daughters are.
Mm. Daddy's always better, apparently. Always daddy. Daddy this, daddy
that's
that.
Because I work.
My mom always said that because my dad was at work all day, so when I hadn't seen him all day. So of course, dad's the hero and dad's the fun one because dad wasn't here all day, and I'm the jerk because I'm the one that punishes you. And so I understand.
Yeah, that's definitely what it feels like. Now I understand what my mom felt like. I understand now. I didn't before. Now I do.
All those conversations that our moms had with us, one day you might understand this. Just, I can't tell you how many times I had that conversation with my mom. Okay, mom, sure, I'll be you someday. And I've become my mother.
I've become my mom too. Not really a bad thing, but it's just funny how that works out.
So back into books. Right now I'm reading an epic dark fantasy, and it's just, I don't want to say it's like horror related, but it's definitely brutal. So where would you tie in? Do you think dark fantasy has tie-ins to horror or vice versa?
Oh, absolutely. And I say this a lot and I repeat it a lot because I think people need to understand that horror isn't just flat. There are nearly 30 subgenres of horror, to include science fiction and fantasy. And I think that a lot of times people go into horror with expectations that everything is a ghost story and that everything is intended to scare them. But there is some very poetic horror. There is some amazing stories that just play on human emotion and play on world building and things that are horrific in the sense that, hey, this could actually happen, or this is a theme, or this is characters that we can relate to. And I just think that it's so important that people understand, especially if you love science fiction, especially if you love fantasy, that you can easily tie in horror, and not everything is about maiming and cutting off body parts and, blood and guts. It's very different levels and very interesting depths that you can go into with horror. So the more I go into my harrowing horror, the more I find this to be the case, because as a reader, I feel that it really helps to shape me to figure out what kind of books that I really truly enjoy. And I found that, just in the short time that I've been doing it, I absolutely love apocalyptic horror, and science fiction is my absolute favorite horror. So it's interesting how, sometimes it's easy to dismiss horror and just assume that it's going to be one way. But yeah, dark fantasy absolutely plays into a horrific element.
Yeah, because the book I'm reading right now is Six Gun Tarot by R.S. Belcher. And I don't know if I can bring it up. I think Lori put it in our wrap up or our book haul.
Yeah, it's in our book haul video, but we can send her the link through Twitter. It's that Thomas definitely said it's more like on the dark side, and he told me that he read a part and he looked at me and goes, "You're not going to be able to read this." I said, "Why not?" And there's an infant that dies in a very horrible way, and I said, "Nope, not reading it. Nope."
Think satanic ritual on the verse. And it was just like, I had to put the book down for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, that's just kind of rough.
There are times when I'm reading a book and I'm loving it, and I'll get to a part that is too much for me or it's too intense. I don't stop reading. I have yet to actually DNF a book, but I do find that there are elements of stories that are just, as they say, hit too close to home. And there's just certain things I'd rather not read about. I wouldn't say by any stretch of the means that I'm naive, but I do like to keep an innocence about me and pretend that some things don't really happen out there in the real world. And it's hard when you're reading certain types of fiction, because those elements are really what creates these stories or these world buildings, and to some pretty awful things in books sometimes.
Oh, I completely agree. I love reading a book where I can relate to at least one of the characters. And then, especially since I've become a husband and a parent, reading some of the stuff where it has stuff that I could picture Lori or the kids in that situation where they're in a harm's way, I have to put it down for a minute and go, okay, this is completely different. Stop doing that, and then I can pick it back up after it's like, just chill.
So since I am like, I'm gonna regret asking this. Probably will regret this. But since I've never read horror, what do you have like a horror book that you would recommend someone to me that maybe will just like maybe take a little like get her feet wet a little bit, maybe just get a taste of it.
Honestly, yes. I have grown to love an author that I just started reading because of a subscription box that I get, and that's the Nightworms. And I had seen him on Twitter quite a bit, but it was one of those things that the titles of the books hadn't really appealed to me. But when I started reading him, he is a very poetic horror writer. And I think someone like yourself who isn't that into the macabre and isn't into things that are dark and scary would actually because his style is just so endearing. It's heartwarming. He plays on human emotions, same as Chad Lutz. And the book that I just got done reading was called Behind the Barn. And it completely just stopped me in my, it is one of the most beautiful, just heart-wrenching, heartwarming stories. Wonderful about them as they're short. He writes novellas, so you're reading, so quickly. You can get through them in a day, or you can, in my case, I actually found myself trying to put it down so I could elongate it and not get through it so quick because I didn't want it to end. But I think someone like him would be a great, because it's horror that is not going to overwhelm you, but there's just a little element of macabre that will stick with you, like, oh, it's a little, okay, that was kind of creepy, but it's okay. I'm going to be able to sleep tonight kind of horror.
You'll have to send me he just finished his first bottle of Jack Daniels. We have a problem.
I haven't even finished my first drink yet. You're finishing a bottle?
I know.
Okay, so the bottle only had about, my first one was about this much.
How much of that is Jack though?
That's all Jack.
That's all Jack.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
That's only number 2.
I can't do that. Oof, I can't do that anymore.
I can't.
I'm too old.
Oh, don't say you're too old. Don't say that. You don't even look old. You look so young and vibrant. So don't even play that card.
The military ages you like dog years, all right? So every year you serve in the military, you age 7 years. I did 5 years. That's 35 years on top of my 26.
Thomas is a cradle.
Well, good. Now we're kind of even.
Yes. So I got you beat.
Really?
No, well, although I am older than you guys, but just because of what I do, I surround myself young and youthful. I think that's the secret to staying young is, finding things that bring you pure joy.
Oh, like your ranch?
Yes, like my ranch.
I
love my ranch.
How did you have an interest in animals and wanting your own
ranching?
Ranch? Yeah.
And is it anything like the ranch on Netflix?
Really?
Full house like them, but yeah, actually it is. I mean, and I don't have Sam Elliott in my living room. That's also another thing. So darn. But no, my love for actually when I was quite young, but I didn't really get completely immersed in animal rescue and animal save found me. My cat, she was, I wouldn't call her a stray. I mean, she had a home, but she wasn't happy there. And one day she just came down to my apartment. She started pawing at my door, and she did this every day like clockwork for about a week. So finally, I was living in an apartment at the time, and I followed her up. She lived on the 3rd floor. I was in the bottom floor, and I picked her up as soon as we got to where I assumed she lived. I knocked on the door. This lady came to the door and said, "Hey, how can I help you?" I'm like, "Is this your cat?" She's like, "Yeah, why? What did she do to you?" And I was like, "Well, nothing, but, every day she's been coming down, pawing at my door like clockwork. I just want to know what the story is." So, and then I looked down, there was a cardboard box. And at this point, I'm living in Seattle, Washington. So, it rains there all the time. And I said, look, this is not really conducive environment for a cat. So can I just buy her from you? I have no idea where those words came from. I don't know why I said it. I just did. And she's like, you know, just take her. She's, you know, watches everything. She pees on everything. So I said, okay, well, great. Now I've got this, you know, thing that scratches everything and pees on everything, but she's mine now. She's like, I'm only giving you a week though. After a week, if she doesn't work out, too bad. So she was with me for 15. I just lost her this past October to cancer of the jaw. And it was because of her that my heart opened, you know, that I noticed strays on the street, that I noticed animals in shelters. And from there, I just started volunteering and, you know, growing my love. I grew up in a very rural area. So, you know, having dogs and things like that was very nice. We weren't allowed to have them in the house because my mom thinks animals are dirty. So we were never allowed to have dogs sleep on our bed or anything, you know. And I grew up where I was always around horses or livestock to some degree because all of my friends had, you know, acreage and stuff. And then this just happened by happenstance. I, you know, got to a point in my life where I wanted to start over, like a literal, hey, I'm going to pick a dot on the map. And I picked this area and we found this place online. And I said, there's no way this place is going to be available by the time we're ready to move. Lo and behold, it was, and the rest is history. And once I got here, we had those beautiful barns that you all saw in the video that I created, the tag video for you. And I just said, you know what? I think this is a great, you know, business opportunity. You know, I have horse knowledge and I have animal knowledge. So let me just create a business around that. And I just, again, I attest that to, you know, having had the privilege of having that cat in my life and helping as many animals as I can.
That's epic. Yeah. I just have a feeling that Animal Planet is going to catch up with this channel and go, hey, we need to get this woman a show. And it's going to be the next freaking...
I would love that. That would be amazing. And honestly, I think that contributes a lot to, you know, being happy, is finding what makes you happy and doing what you love. And being around animals is it's the most inexpensive joy in life, you know. Animals are expensive. Don't let me twist that. They're expensive. But what I mean is, you know, no matter how much money I've ever spent on the animal is free, as my fiance would like to say. He's like, anything that's free is a lot of money. But they just bring you so much happiness, you know. So I'm the catch-all of animals. Okay, you can't keep it. Okay, you're allergic to it. Okay, you know, I'll make it work. And I always find the means to make it work.
Now, have you ever found yourself at a point where it's like, you know, I have too many that I just can't handle it, or I don't have enough hands or enough of me to go around for all these animals, that you try to find somebody like good home or anything like that?
I don't ever take on an animal that I don't foresee myself being able to give it the longevity. Now, I have had situations where I've come across an animal that just didn't work out, or the animal unfortunately came in with some kind of illness that was beyond my control. So in situations like that, I'll do everything in my power to ensure that it goes to a place where it can be better taken care of. I have also had the privilege of being able to take in animals on foster and get them rehabilitated. For a long time, I rehabilitated pit bulls because pit bulls have such a bad rap. So I made sure that, you know, and I always took in really bad cases, you know, ones that were mangy or ones that were overbred or fighter dogs, you know, anything like that. And I made them good dogs and I found them really good homes. So that was a mission of mine for a very long time. And honestly, that's probably something I could have pursued. I just didn't have the means or the environment at the time to take in as many that I wanted. And unfortunately, that is an industry that needs more love and more attention. Pit bulls are they have such a bad rap, and they're such amazing dogs.
Well, it's like every 10 years they pick another dog that's very well natured. Owners have just destroyed it, and then they go, "Oh, this dog is just terrible." It's like every 10, 20 years they change the dog.
I think I met my first pit bull with your Aunt Florence. It was when
she's
was
a
it the
beautiful
first?
blue.
No, it wasn't the first time I met your family. It was
no, it was just recently.
Yeah, recently. It was after Jason.
It was the second time you met my grandpa.
Yeah, after Jason was born, I think. And that was the first time I ever met a pit bull. And she was just a sweetheart. She loved giving kisses and cuddles, and she's very protective. She was very well behaved.
My mom's dog, Paige, she's a pit mix.
Yeah, that's right. She was a pit mix too, and she was also very lovable and adorable. And then I'm seeing these posts about how pit bulls are so dangerous. I'm just like, I just cuddled up with 2 of them. What are you talking about?
I mean,
it's all in how they're raised.
Yeah, every animal has the aspect to just eat your face off if you mistreat them, or they have the aspect in them to love you unconditionally. That's something that humans can take a book out of an animal's, or a page out of an animal's book, is they know how to love unconditionally. We have problems with that.
Except Chihuahuas. Chihuahuas are assholes.
Oh, I'm scared of Chihuahuas. I'm scared of them. I'm not gonna lie, my Aunt Nancy, every time we go to her house, it was years ago, that poor dog is dead now, sadly. But every time we go to her house, that darn Chihuahua would bark and snap at me. I was like hiding behind my dad, like, Dad, it's gonna attack me. He goes, it's just a little dog, it's fine. No, it doesn't like me.
So
the meaner they get too, because they start losing their eyesight and their hearing, and they just nip and bark and yap and snap at everything. So yeah, Chihuahuas freak me out too. And I love animals. Doesn't matter what they are. I will embrace a Chihuahua, but with gloves on.
So I'm not a fan. I have a love for animals, and I have a soft spot for dogs and kids. But the smaller the dog, anything smaller than 30 pounds, no, anything smaller than 50 pounds, every time I walk into a room, I'm not a small guy, but every time I walk into a room that dog is in, they shake and pee themselves. And that instantly drives me nuts. So no, a small dog, even a small medium small dog, just doesn't work with me.
No, Thomas calls the little dogs like a football.
They're fluffy footballs.
So he's not afraid to.
Well, if they bite me, I will chew them. I don't punt them.
You would bump them, and the poor thing probably go across the room, and you'd be like, "You'll go."
No, you make me sound abusive.
No, he's not. Sorry, the alcohol's finally talking to me. I'm on a cloud right now.
The truth is coming out. Now I see who you really are, Tom.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
I murder small animals.
He doesn't murder small animals. I'm just saying I can picture him.
Oh yeah, now it's you would actually do this to. Oh no, I can picture him doing
this. Sorry. How much of that stuff did you put in my drink?
There's a shot of coconut rum, and there's a shot of.
I'm a lightweight, so if anybody else is joining, hi, how are ya?
The alcohol is kicked in.
It is. I'm a little bubbly.
Well, I'm on my
take over.
8 ounces of Jack.
Yeah, this really isn't making me buzzed. It's just making me really hot.
Oh my goodness, I'm sitting here sweating.
How are you guys sweating? Like my mouth is going numb, and I feel I feel jiggly.
We have a fan over here that I'm about to turn on, but the only issue is it drowns out.
I was contemplating because I'm just really hot.
I'm also wearing this waffle sweater too.
He got this for Christmas. I think it looks nice.
That's part of the issue. Well, she likes it.
If I break the YouTube cardinal rule, I'm wearing fuzzy pajama pants. So I think that's why I'm so hot. You're never supposed to reveal what you're wearing on the bottom.
That's like when you interview for a job over the computer. They say that there's people that actually do that in their boxers. And there's actually been cases of the interviewer was like, hey, stand up. Let's see what you're wearing. Or they'll be like, hey, can you go get this for me? Or can you get this information? And they're like, yeah. So they'll look all professional on top. And then on the bottom, it's just boxers or pajamas. They actually told us about
I'm wearing Monsters Inc. fuzzy pajama bottoms. So that's my life.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. You gotta get comfortable.
So what's your favorite animal, Cammy?
Well,
Yeah.
that's such a hard question. That's like picking your favorite child.
Oh. Oh my god.
You know, honestly, I think that I'm very canine prone. I absolutely love dogs, but I just think for me, they're probably the easiest to work with and train and so forth. And I've had more experience with dogs than anything else. But I've honest with just about everything you can think of. And I don't discriminate. I save spiders. I gave CPR to a hummingbird last summer.
What?
So I'm just
How
saying.
does that work? How did you not crush it?
It was
really?
That was the scariest thing I've ever done, Thomas. I was so careful. First of all, I didn't know if I could touch it because there's always that stigma: don't touch a bird because you're gonna put human scent on it. That's
or you get lice.
Utter garbage. You can touch. Well, yes, you can get lice, but you can scent on a bird, and it doesn't prevent their mom from ever going back. But a hummingbird is so delicate. So what ended up happening is he flew in my pool and I saw it and I thought at first it was just a big monarch butterfly. And of course, I'm still in rescue mode thinking I got to save this. And when I noticed it was a hummingbird, I was like, oh my God, I was devastated because I just bought a hummingbird feeder. So I'm like, no, don't die. So I fished him out. I brought him out and I just started lightly pressing on his chest because I knew he had ingested some water. So I'm just kind of like, don't leave me, fella. And I'm talking to him. All my dogs are looking at me with that side glance like, what are you doing, Mom? So I'm pushing on his chest. He's not responsive. I swear, this is the time Animal Planet should have been there, Thomas. So I'm like, come on, we got this. We got this. And then all of a sudden he started moving. So I was like, oh, this is fantastic. Now I still have him kind of wrapped up in the net a little bit. And I wanted to leave him there because I didn't want him to fly away. Well, I said, okay, I think he's finally come to. So I took him over to the rose bush that I had and I just kind of laid him in the grass and just kind of gave him a moment to revive. And then what does he do? He flies up and right back into the pool. I'm like, no, dude, like suicide mission. Get out, get out.
Maybe he just lost his loved one and needed a drink. Needed that near-death experience.
Oh,
I was thinking that maybe this was trying to send me a sign. So I go over and I fish him out again. You have a reason to live. I just bought you a feeder, for goodness sake. So we spent a few minutes together again, and he literally did choke up some water. And then I started giving him little droplets of the sugar water that I had bought for him. And I swear he must have remembered me because I would say that entire summer I would always come and fly around I think it was just his way of saying thank you, and it was for the duration. So that was my coolest rescue mission. But as far as a favorite, I will try and give everything a chance or an opportunity. But I've had some experiences with some jerks. Don't get me wrong, there's mean animals out there and there's stupid animals out there, but you got to give it your best shot.
As an animal lover, how do you feel about hunting?
Oh.
As the fact that you want to rescue a lot, any chance you get,
Well, I think that my upbringing has a lot to do with that, being from Texas and growing up in a rural area. And my dad I wouldn't say he was an avid hunter. I mean, he hunted when he was a kid. He tried to get me into it. But for me personally, it's not a choice that I make just because I have a very hard time killing something and eating it. That doesn't mean I'm a vegetarian or a vegan. I will eat chicken. I will eat a good steak. I will eat hamburger. Or I will not go and hunt my meal. Now, if it was survival mechanism and I had to, I would. I don't necessarily say, I'm not like an advocate for it, but if you choose to hunt, I'm not going to, come down and throw a can of red paint on you, the more the merrier. But if you're going to hunt, eat it. Don't hunt for trophy. That's where I have an issue. I don't think that animals need to be plastered on our walls. I don't think we need to have elephant tusks. I don't think we need to have, a taxidermy. I don't believe in any of that. But if you want to hunt for personal gain and eat
So if I were to hunt,
hold on. I need to share what Jenna said, Cammie, if you didn't see, but she said, so Cammie is basically a Disney princess saving and surrounded by the birds, and I have to agree with that.
Oh, that is the sweetest thing I've ever heard. Night maid, thank you.
That was spot on. I agree 100%.
Now I feel compelled to get my cosplay out and dress up for the next one we have. I was contemplating that because I was cleaning. Actually, you guys got me to clean my room. And as I'm putting away all my stuff, I saw my little mermaid outfit and my red wig. I was like, maybe I should show up as Ariel. Maybe that would get the party restarted.
You should have. You totally should have. She's very good.
I should have worn my lumberjack.
No. You know where your lumberjack.
The big all the.
No.
We match.
No.
You don't like me in that?
No, you could just wear it for me. You don't need to wear it for people. It's fine. Just wear it for me. It's okay.
She likes me.
The alcohol has kicked in.
Okay, so if I get a...
Oh, man. We're going to start with the debates now? It's not I got serious.
An 18-point buck, white-tailed deer that I am just super proud of. Now, I'm going to eat it because I love deer meat. I love deer jerky and everything about it. I am going to showcase that amazing buck and forever worship that and be like, that was the monster that I got.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, in a case where you arrested the carcass, fine, you can possession, you know, because you basically utilized extent. So in a case like that, okay, yes, you would have my consent, I guess, if it matters. But you know, just for those that go out though and hunt and just want the head and, you know, dispose of the meat or just dispose of the body, I don't necessarily agree with.
Yeah,
but if you and then display the head, okay.
Yeah, those are the same people that are on every good hunter's list, because I hate driving down during deer season and you see a deer carcass laying on the side of the road and only thing it's missing is its antlers or its head.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you serious? That was a good buck and you could have taken it and actually done something with it. But no, you're going to sit there and mess it up for everybody else, make everybody else look bad. And then the same thing for poachers. I mean, you guys are out there doing this, you're making everybody else look bad, and it's just kind of like, dude, if I see you, I want to punch you in the face.
Yeah. I think your heart's in the right. As long as you have that mentality, because I just don't understand for just the mere sport of it, you know, hunting elephants and hunting zebras, and it's not necessary. I mean, I've never heard of someone eating an elephant. I've never heard of, you know, so what's the point? We have so many animals that are on the endangered species list, and there are so many animal time that will become extinct, and people just don't think of this anymore. They think, oh, well, we don't talk about it anymore. It's not in great magnitude. So, you know, we're fine. Everything's good. But that couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, rhinos are on the verge of extinction. Elephants are on the verge of extinction. Giraffes are on the verge of extinction. So, you know, why hunt?
Well, I feel like giraffes are Gabby's favorite animal.
I feel like ever since Steve Irwin died, was Steve Irwin, right? I'm messing that up. Is the alcohol affecting me that bad?
Steve Irwin.
You're right.
Okay, Steve Irwin reincarnate.
But ever since he died, I mean, Animal Planet really doesn't have. They had that other guy, Corwin, I think was his name.
Jeff Corwin.
Yeah, but he didn't match up.
I watched Animal Planet specifically for Steve Irwin.
I feel like, at least for my generation, after he died, the animal rights just kind of went, or not animal rights, but animal protection just kind of went.
Well, the thing with Steve Irwin, that was an unfortunate situation. I mean, who thinks that you're going to go, you know, hang out with stingrays and then get shot in the heart? I mean, really? Like, that would have been the last thing that ever crossed my mind. Everybody tells you stay away from the tail, but you don't think that it's going to kill you. I wouldn't say animal rights have gone away. I just think that in order to be fully immersed in it, just like anything else, you need to educate yourself. You need to put yourself out there. You need to find out what's going on, because it's a constant battle for animal rights. There's constant, especially in the fur trade industry, you know, where people don't believe that wearing fur is a bad thing. Oh, it's not a big deal. You know, it is a big deal because again, we don't live in an era where you can't go to the store and buy a jacket. So why do we need to bash in a fox's head to have this fancy coat? You know, it doesn't make any sense to me. And it's not just as simple as going out and hunting these animals in the wild. These animals are actually inbred in-house just for the simple fact of making coats. And why? I honestly believe that anybody who strongly feels that they want to be a voice for the voiceless needs to subject themselves to watching some of these really cruel and inhumane videos, because it really does change your perspective on so many things concerning animal rights. And there are still so many things that we need to pursue and so many things we need to overcome. But it just takes someone just stopping for a second, educating themselves, and sharing that with others. And that for me has become my life mission, is, you know, helping others to understand it is a battle. It's an uphill battle sometimes, because often, and that's why we call it the voice for the voiceless, because oftentimes people think that just because it's not in the forefront that it's not happening, and it is, and it's sad.
Oh, most definitely. I completely agree with you. I mean, most of the people that watch our channel would know that Lori and I have a love for wolves.
Oh, and the wolves, yes, that's a whole other battle.
Yeah, and then it's just, if wolves were to be extinct, I would lose my damn mind, because I love wolves.
Well,
and
that's why
we need to be very cautious with this, because with wolves, that, and I'm glad you brought that up, there is such a hunt to make coyotes extinct that oftentimes people mistake wolves for coyotes. And, you know, it's something as simple as that. You would think, well, how do you mistake a coyote and a wolf? You know, they're two very different beasts, but they can culminate in the same area. And if you're not careful and you're just killing to kill because you're trying to, you know, maintain a quota, and, you know, and sadly, that's what happens a lot of times with coyotes, is that there will be farmers or ranchers that will put a bounty on heads of coyote, and you bring in so many coyote and you get paid that way. And there's just reckless killing.
Ohio
New Mexico does it. Texas does it. Oklahoma does it. You know, there's a lot of states that still do these things.
I agree and disagree with it, for the simple fact of, we do destroy our crop or our meat. And I'm a big meat eater. I'm a damn carnivore. If I could live off of just meat, I would.
He could eat the meat raw if he wanted to.
I can understand it, that our farmers that do need that paycheck for the sheep, the chicken, the beef, pig, the whole nine. I can understand getting rid of the coyote in that area. And I like coyotes too. I've seen wildlife pictures and everything. I haven't seen one up close. I've never been in that situation where I was face to face with a big predator.
My legs going
but it just kind of, I can understand both sides of that argument.
Well, and I can also, you know, I mean, being a rancher now, I mean, I completely understand that, because it would be devastating if I went out in the morning and, you know, one of the goats was dead or missing, you know. I mean, I can understand that, but it's a balance of ecosystem too, because one of the things that we do as human beings is we entice these animals in by leaving trash readily available, or by feeding them, or by throwing out our human, you know, remains. That sounded morbid. Not like bodies or anything. Like our garbage and our, you know, our leftover food and so forth. And that brings them in, you know, and we question, why are they getting closer, or why are they, you know, and there are occasions where they're just hungry and they're looking for food, but 9 times out of 10, they'll come, they don't find what they need, and they go back out. They're pack animals, you know, they have to go and be amongst their people. But we just need to be very cautious on how we create our ecosystem. You know, I'm very careful as to what I leave out and what I leave around. You know, a lot of people that come to my rancher just, you know, they probably think I'm OCD or something, but I'm I keep things and how I keep it contained, because I don't want to invite things that aren't invited.
And I've noticed a lot of that with ranchers that I met when I growing up, or farmers that I met growing up. They're very meticulous about their land. And I think it builds into a sense of pride and a sense of self, is that the land is taken care of, because it's basically a part of you. You put so much time and effort into it that it's just, it's who you are. And so I think that becomes a real big portion of it. So whereas people that are just out there visiting, going out hiking or something and throw something on the ground, it's like, nah, we do it in the city. Why not? And so I think that has a big aspect of the difference between the two types of people.
Oh, absolutely. And that's another pet peeve of mine is just litter in general. I have always been, since I was super young, if any of my friends littered, I would literally stop, turn around, tell them they needed to pick up their trash and throw it away. So I've always kept the group.
Yeah, I was the opposite when I was a teenager. I would throw stuff out, and if somebody said something, I would do it just to look for a fight.
But you've grown so much since then.
Yeah, I
Look
grew
at
up.
you.
I'm matured.
Well, I mean, yeah.
So we're coming up on an hour. Cammie, subscribers, people that are joining, do you guys mind if we keep going? Because I'm really enjoying the conversation. I wanted to see if Cammie had anything for us.
Oh yeah, that'd be nice. My brain is like still spinning.
Did you finish your drink already, Lori?
Oh, I did. That's
she
why
did about 38 minutes.
And now I'm drinking water to help it go down a little bit better because
I think you need to get. I know. Well, I just finally finished my first drink, so now I'm gonna add some more ice, and then I'm gonna pour me another one. So, it's time.
Does anybody mind going over an hour?
I don't think so. I'm having fun. I'm having a good time.
So, as I said, Cammie, do you have any questions or anything for us that you?
Well, I think I have been watching you guys now for pretty much the duration of at least your combination. I started watching Lori maybe about 2 months before you guys, decided to do this as a couple channel. So moving forward, what do you guys really see for your channel? Is there any segments that you guys, of course, these happy hours that you do that you guys want to start incorporating? Because, like for me, I focus, has been driven towards horror. So where do you guys see yourselves leading your channel?
We've actually kind of been discussing this over the last couple
of
months.
I mean, for me, it's definitely going to be mostly books. I think that might be my niche, maybe. I don't know. I've been thinking about maybe incorporating like maybe skincare type videos or pampering type videos. That's just something that I've been thinking about because I love face masks and all that other stuff. So I was thinking like maybe once a month or something like Face Mask Friday or something like that, and just me chatting away because I have no friends here, so why not? And Thomas, he really wants to incorporate fitness type videos because he's really into fitness, and I think it just shows. I
wouldn't say fitness.
No,
I would say my journey on getting to where I want to be.
Okay, there's that.
Because I don't know. I mean, back in June of last year, I was 260 pounds, and I'm down to 215. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm actually more muscle than I am. I wouldn't say more muscle, but I'm a decent amount of muscle versus fat. And my goal for 2019 was actually to get down between 8 and 12% body fat because I've never been there before.
He's currently in competition with his younger brother because his younger brother is a little bit bigger than him. Like, he's the Rock right now compared to Thomas.
He is not that much bigger.
His arms are huge. I'm sorry. Ow, that made me spin. Yeah, so there's that. And then I was also thinking about maybe like parenting related videos. Nothing like, every parent is different, but just like maybe letting new parents know that they're not alone with certain struggles of parenthood.
And we've also talked about going into maybe a little bit more into the Catholic faith a little bit.
That is still up for debate.
Yeah, on our Catholic journey, because that's a journey that never stops. There's just so many different things that we can do, and then there's times where we have to go, is the audience going to be receptive, or are we going to receive hate? Or
I think for me, it's just focusing on like, I don't expect our channel to grow very much. I really don't. Like, I don't have, because when your channel grows. Oh, hi, Dad. When were you watching? My dad is joining us in the chat. Hello, Father. Don't be scared. Have fun with all the topics. Yes. My dad's head is probably going to get big, but normally he's usually right. So I'm picturing him behind the computer or his phone, and his head is getting bigger, and he's probably thinking, yeah, Lori, I told you I'd be right. So But yeah, I don't really expect our channel to grow really big. I think it's just us focusing, like what
do
Dad
you
said.
consider
Don't
really
be.
big?
I don't know. I don't really expect us.
I could see us being in 3 years being 1,000 plus.
Well, here's the thing though. When you grow, I mean, you kind of have to maybe invest in like in a better camera for better. I don't know, Cammy. You might have a completely different view, but I don't know. It seems like a lot of pressure when your channel continues to grow more. I just feel like there's just this sense of pressure that you constantly need to do better, or you need. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say.
I think you need to do better for yourself. And
Right.
I say that with all intents and purposes because for me as a creator, from where I started to where I am now, I noticed that the more genuine I became with who I am and the more comfortable I became with my content, then people started to recognize that. I find that with the YouTube algorithm, in order for your channel to be, I wouldn't say successful, because if you have 1 subscriber, to me, you're a success. Somebody out there cares enough to tune in and to watch you. But if you want your channel to grow.
That's like I told Lori at 300 subscribers. I was like, you're YouTube famous. You have fans across the world, people that actually want to watch what you're saying. So sorry.
Well, I mean, for me, no, when I hit 100 subscribers, that's how I felt. I'm like, wow, I finally hit a platform where 100 people actually give a darn about tuning in. And every time I see, I get a new subscriber or I get that notification saying so-and-so has subscribed to your channel, that just shows me that I'm putting out content that's relevant, that people are actually either learning from or enjoying, or, whatever the case may be, for whatever the reason that they're tuning in. With the YouTube algorithm, though, I've noticed that in order for your channel to grow, and by grow, I mean, if you have an actual number in mind, I want my channel to be at this number, your content has to be consistent. For a channel like mine, it's very difficult for that to happen because I talk about, like I said, 1 minute, horror books the next. So your audience and age level in those are very different. And so, an average video of mine, if I'm lucky, I get 200 views for a video, but those are like my unboxings or, something that time and effort into. Something like harrowing horror, I spend an exceptional amount of time in that, but those don't always get the views. It just depends on the book, and slowly but surely people will watch them. But if I valued the time that I put in versus the viewership, I would have fizzled out myself personally a long time ago, because you can't put weight on how many viewers am I getting. You have to put weight on, are people watching? Are people interacting? And then when I started focusing on the communication aspect of it and talking to the people in the comment box and commentary station going, that's when I got value out of my channel. So, being that I know I'm never going to be consistent in the same type of content, I'm not going to kids, 100% horror, 100% unboxings, 100% toys. I'm never going to find that caliber of audience because I'm not on a consistent upload schedule and I'm not on a consistent content schedule. But if I can find the happy medium where, people are tuning in for various things, whatever your niche is, then that's a success to me.
Oh, most definitely. I completely agree with everything you said there.
Yeah, I do too.
I think ever since YouTube changed their algorithm, it kind of messed over a lot of people that were like that had the chance of growing into a massive amount of viewers and getting their content out there. It made it a little difficult. Right now, I just feel like everything's going.
Well, and I understand why YouTube did it, because we have to understand it from a business perspective. When you have a channel like this, you're putting content out there where they can come in and they can put advertisements and, any type of commercials on there. So for them, it's very difficult to attach a commercial or an advertisement on a non-consistent channel. And so I think, honestly, that's why they decided to do it to smaller YouTubers, because they were putting in the time and effort and the money to attach these to channels that weren't bringing in the viewership. And so all they're saying is, hey, once you get to a certain number, we got your back. We're here no matter how big or how small you are, but we're just not going to invest that same type of effort into a channel where you only have, you know, a small amount of subscribers versus someone over here that has 100, you know, to 1 million subscribers, or 100,000 to 1 million. And that makes sense from a business perspective. So I understand that. Is it frustrating? Absolutely.
I
you know,
definitely
yeah,
agree
as a
with
creator.
because of the simple fact that, I mean, they were giving money to people that didn't have the views. And
Exactly.
they might have had the subscribers, but most of the people would either stop watching after a long time and just forget to unsubscribe. Because, I mean, we average, what, maybe 90,
yeah, I mean, we're
90
almost,
views a video?
We're almost to 500 subs. But, I mean, maybe our average views would be, like, between 50 and to 100 views. So it's not, I guess that the numbers really don't matter. But for me, what makes it so... what was the reason for me to keep doing this, to keep making videos, is the interaction, like the relationship that we formed with you, with other booktubers. That's what's keeping me motivated to continue, because I feel like I'm wanted. Even though, like, not millions of people or thousands of people watch my videos, I still feel wanted, because there's still people that are interested in what I have to say and that are interested in getting to know me, and vice versa. I'm always interested to know what you have to say, what you're interested, what other people are interested. The connections are what make it worthwhile to me. I think that's what it is. So,
when I started focusing on that aspect of it, for me, YouTube became more enjoyable, and I honestly wanted to create more, you know, just figuring out where those connections were happening, whether it was during a book haul, or, you know, a lot of my communication happens during my chatty book hauls, because, you know, people are actually engaging with me for 20 or 30 minutes while I'm just showcasing a bunch of random books. But I'm using that as a platform to kind of tell you what's going on with me and, you know, what's been happening. So it's a way to kind of engage in the best of two worlds. And then for other segments, you know, I put a lot of time and effort into intros and outros and making segments kind of define their own uniqueness, because for me, that helps to engage in an audience. You know, it helps you people. And there's people that will engage with me on certain videos where they won't engage with me on others. And that's perfectly fine, because that's showing me, hey, you're interested in this, but not this, but you're still coming back. And that's awesome.
Yeah, there's times where I have a hard time listening about other books or things, where it takes me a long time to get into somebody's book channel. And I was actually shocked when I saw that there were people that had 100,000 plus subscribers and all they talked about were books. Because to me, I mean, I'm an avid reader, but at the same time, I don't find talking about books as interesting.
Yet you talk about books on our channel.
That's because I'm kind of narcissistic and I want everybody to be subjected to my opinion. So that's my problem. So there's times where it's just, it makes it very difficult for me to watch other people's content. And I kind of feel bad about that. That's why I joined up with Lori. And it's actually helped our relationship quite a bit, because it gave us an extra little something to do together versus, oh, she's sitting on her phone watching YouTube, or, oh, I'm sitting by myself reading, instead of we're actually conversating about the books we're reading, or what's going on with the channel, or what's going on with you, or Emily, or Sarah,
Bailey, Louise,
Bibliofilth, Jenna.
Yeah, Jenna.
So I don't know people's first names, but I recognize their
because
channel
I
names.
talk about you guys all the time to Thomas. Like, I blab. Like, hey, I just watched so-and-so's video, and yeah, so I talk, yeah. I can't keep my mouth shut.
It's funny that you say that, though, because even though my fiance is not, you know, doing YouTube with me, I do the same thing, Lori. I will use people's names now versus their channel names, you know, because I feel like I've actually developed friendships on here. You know, I will refer to the lawn gnome is no longer that. He's Steve and Thomas, you know. It's just, to me, even though I may never meet you in person, which I hope one day we do actually sit down and have drinks, that would be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, for me, you guys are my friends, you know, and I can say that wholeheartedly and mean it, because we have went beyond the platform of YouTube. And I think that, you know, I attest a lot of this to Steve, because I wouldn't have met you if it wasn't for Steve.
Same.
And And honestly, you know, it's creators like him that aren't afraid to intermingle and to, you know, kind of tie everybody together. And hey, have you met so and so? Or hey, have you heard of so and so's channel? Because it allows for you to connect with people on a real level. It's not just watching a YouTube video, it's watching a friend talk about something that they love, whether it's a book or their kids or what happened, or doing a vlog, or, you know, sitting down with your family like you guys did for your first happy hour with your sister. I just thought that was incredible because it's a different side of you that I'm getting to enjoy, but I feel like I'm part of the family because we're friends now, you know, and that to me makes this platform so worth it.
That's something Lori and I talked about, and that's one of the main reasons we decided to do the happy hour, is that you guys are literally the friends that we can't find here. So y'all are literally the friends that we've had come from other places we met over the internet, and this is the perfect chance because who can possibly have the intelligence to fake themselves while drinking? And you're live
You know,
on
it's
camera,
funny.
so there's no editing.
It's funny because I come across as a very social person, and I think maybe many moons ago I probably was, but over time, because I haven't been able to relate to people in the real world, I've become very introverted. And a lot of the things that I love, you know, the things that you see me surrounded in, people don't understand. But when they watch my YouTube videos, they get me, you know, they understand why I have a Funko Pop obsession or why I love books so much. And that's why I've become so enamored with this community, because I have friends that get me on Cami level. You know, I don't have to explain who I am. I don't have to, you know, bedazzle myself into something I'm not, because you guys love me for what I do, for what I showcase, for who I am and what I choose to share with you. And when I try and talk to people out there, I'm surprised I don't drool on myself, because I just don't know how to talk to people anymore, you know? It's like, if we're not talking about something here in this community, I just don't know what to talk to people about anymore.
That's socially
I
awkward.
feel like that
So
is
socially awkward.
the drawback on society, though, is
Oh,
or not
absolutely.
society, but technology versus society is everybody's gotten so entwined. We have a fast-acting, instant information, instant connection with people all across the world, but we don't have that face time. Now, I'm in between an extrovert and introvert.
You can't even tell if he's an introvert because he'll just go up to you with his pearly white smile, his
I don't have
his
pearly whites.
smolder, and he'll just talk to you. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? That you're an introvert? You don't look it.
I don't want to say I'm not good around people.
You are.
I'm very good at talking, and I'm very good at like. I don't even know how to describe it on what I can do.
Well, I think it's probably a lot like me. I'm very comfortable in social settings. If you put me in a room full of strangers, I can guarantee you that's how I read. I read in every genre. I read on multiple subjects, so that way no matter what platform I'm on, no matter what table I'm sitting at, I have a little piece to add to the conversation. Let's talk about astrophysics. You know, umbilical cords, whatever you want to talk about, I've probably read a book on it. However, it just seems to me that social media has definitely made social interactions a lot more awkward, because, and I had this happen to me about a year, where I met my first YouTuber. We realized that we lived in the same city, and I met with her for lunch. And I got just so excited of the fact that I was actually having human interaction. I probably made a complete fool out of myself because I didn't know how to stop talking, you know? And after the lunch was over, I just stopped and thought about it. I'm like, I probably scared her away because I was just so happy to have human interaction and get life conversation. I'll be the first to tell you that I hate social media, which sounds really ironic when you have a social platform, but social media is really killing that human intellect. 6 months ago, I put on my Twitter that I wanted to have pen pals, like real actual pen pals, and people reach out, but I've only had one actual pen pal that we've corresponded in writing, and it just seems so foreign because the letters are between, because we're so busy in our life, but we really on that human contact.
And I agree with that, but I don't think it's going to get better. I don't think it's going to get better for a long time. I think the social network is going to the social interaction is going to almost completely collapse before finally, I think something absolutely massively bad is going to happen in order to bring back you know what, give me a call. I want to actually hear your voice. Or you and I actually talked about this, one of our first Twitter conversations through Messenger was we hate having a conversation through text because it gets misread, or especially as readers, we read it through, we try to put our imagination into what the emotion is that person is trying to relay, or we try to read between the lines or anything like that, and it just really kind of gets messed up. That's why Lori and I just had an instance like this not too long ago where something happened while I was at work, and she sent me a text message, and it kind of relayed into a real big fight throughout the day because of the fact that it was through a message and we were trying to message back and forth and explain, and it was just really.
Oh, okay. It took me a minute to figure out what that message
I'm not
was.
trying to go into detail about our personal arguments, but it was just like if we would have had the actual conversation, we wouldn't have thought the other person was mad at each other, or that's where a lot of aspects, I think, arguments or you have people that are sitting behind a keyboard and going, "Oh, I'm super brave. I'm 100 pounds and I'm going to talk crap and go out there and say, you know what, I'll whoop your butt and your views are wrong and you deserve to be in this pothole."
So I'm going to go ahead and read off from the comments real quick and say that Bailey says that it's nice to have the community that understands you.
Thank you, Bailey.
And she says she has to talk to people all day, every day at work, so it's nice to have an online community to talk to, because being an introvert since birth, her daily interactions are draining and online is not. So I'm really glad that Bailey could have BookTube for that. And my dad said he left a comment saying, "I think this is pretty cool watching you guys, and it shows that you all are friends and you all have a great connection, not only with books, but being able to just sit back and talk. It's really nice."
By the way, quick bisect. Wally Calabrese has a Catholic style YouTube channel. He also teaches ethics at a college.
Just fun fact.
So he can play both sides.
I just want to mention this really quick. He puts I don't think you'll mind me saying this, Dad, because I don't think any of your students watch this channel. So on his test, my dad will have a bonus question telling him to guess what faith he has. And nobody would ever guess that he's Catholic. They have people saying he's Buddhist, atheist. They had people guessing all sorts of things. They never would guess he's Catholic. No, I'm not going to stop down. I'm going to keep going. I'm 8 hours away, and you can't do crap about it.
You have to drive through DC to get to it, so it's not worth it.
And he's really good at debating both sides, which I'm horrible at, because with debates you need to set your emotions aside, which I'm not good. He can play both sides. It's crazy. So if you have a question and you want to debate about something, I recommend my dad. And I'm not just being biased here. He's really good at it, and it drives me nuts. So yeah, go on, have your debates with my dad if you like.
He's also good at making it to where it's a personal level. So I just want to throw that out there.
He's not a Bible thumper. Just he talks to you.
I think that's important when you're talking about religion, though. You need to be able to see it from both perspectives. You need to be able to respect both sides. And for me, when I took my journey into faith, I honestly started studying multiple religions. It was very important for me to understand what I could potentially come up against. And so I started studying Judaism, and I've kind of remotely grown up in a divided household. My mom was Christian, my dad was Catholic, so I got the best of both worlds there. And, we were never forced religion. It was, you find your niche, you figure out what's comfortable for you. Prayer was always a constant, faith was always a constant, but there was never a focus on religion. And I think that the older that I have become and the more immersed I've become in my religion, I think that for me, it's always been faith-based, and I'm caught up in labels and religion, and it's not really about that. One of the most important things that I've learned on my walk to God is that religion is man-made, and we need to remember that. But at the base of it, spirituality and faith is really what it's all about. And it's really just the label that you choose to put on it. But to respect other people's walks in life and how they choose to report in part.
As a convert, I completely agree with you. I just want to say, Jenna, that community colleges and schools that teach you professions, or not professions, but like 2-year licensing degrees.
You mean like an associate's degree?
No, like a license.
Oh, okay.
Vocationals. Those are all very important. I think, at least for Lori and I's generation, they put too much emphasis on 4-year multi-billion-dollar freaking colleges, universities. It's just
trade schools.
Yes, trade schools. Thank you. The alcohol, third drink, working on it.
Third?
What? So,
I think America in general puts too much focus on education, though. I think education is just very expensive, and for the most part, in most cases, it's very irrelevant. And I know that sounds shitty coming from someone who's a booktuber and encourages reading, but literacy. I encourage education in the sense that you should educate your mind, and knowledge is power. Be very careful on how for that.
I mean, I completely
where
agree
it
with
comes
you.
from.
I did 5 years in the Marine Corps. I don't have a college degree. I've thought about going to college. It scares the living hell out of me. But whenever I need to go, because there's certain things that would help me in my career. But I'm making enough money that my wife can stay at home with my kids. And
one of the things you need to take advantage of the military is the fact that education is given to you as part of your service. Being that you are, I always encourage you to use it. She needs to use it, because one of you needs to take advantage of that. It's basically money that's because you've earned it, and
I'm going to.
However you choose to use it.
She can't, because I didn't serve long enough for her to take advantage of that.
I was supposed to take advantage of my dad's VA, and then I got married.
So I completely agree with you.
I encourage you to do it. I mean, if your niches, I'm not saying necessarily a 4-year university to college, but at the end of the day, for me, it was a journey that I wanted to, because I wanted to say I did this. It was a personal journey, but I don't ever feel that education needs to be something that you do for someone else. Or two, you're not going to complete the journey.
Well, I have 2 viewpoints on that. One, I want my kids to be able. I grew up in a 5-kid, lower income household, and that's nothing against my mom and my stepdad. They did what they could to an extent on certain aspects. I'm not going to get into that right now, but so I felt like I couldn't go to college because, for one, I missed a whole school year of high school over 4 years. I had that many absences over 4 years. And that's just because I stopped caring. I'm intelligent enough to do it, but I just didn't care. I was bored. And it was just join the military. So I did that. And then now I got this job where I'm making decent money, and I'm realizing, college is just that experience. I am Jenna. I'm actually the middle of.
That's not Jenna. That's Bailey.
Oh, my apologies. I saw B just instantly. I am actually the middle, number 3 of 5. My mom has 2, and my stepdad has 3. So yeah, that's all. That's all completely different story for another day. Where's it going with this?
I don't know.
Oh, so I joined the Marine Corps, and I was gonna. Hey, Steve. So
no, never too late, Steve. Never too late.
If we didn't extend
here.
So I joined the Marine Corps. I did 3 deployments back to back. There wasn't always the greatest times to do that. And and I don't understand your question, Wally, so we're going to have to get back to that. And so I did that. I came out, I got this job, and now I'm realizing, you know, in order to move up the corporate ladder, you do actually have to get some type of degree. But I encourage, especially young people, hey, Tabby, especially young people, to find what you're good at before you start going to school. Because now that I've gotten to the point that I am in a career that I enjoy, I can find what I can build off to that point.
Well, and for me, I mean, I kind of started in an area that I thought I would be successful in, which was mass communications, and it turned out to work. But a lot of people go into the educational system too young, and they use it kind of as a platform to figure it out as they're paying for the education. And I'm full for going out into the real world, figuring out who you are, making a couple of mistakes, and then trying college on for size, if it's something, of course, that you can afford to do. Because I understand that for some people, they have scholarships and so forth, that they have to go straight into college. The real world experience, even it's going to enrich your education, because then at what point you're going to be looking at educational journey that suits you, what you want to do in life, you know, whether it be career or just enriching specific attributes to make you a, you know, the person that where you see yourself.
Yeah. Sorry, you're breaking up. Are you still with us?
I'm still with you.
Okay. So yeah, I can agree with that. The thing that frustrates me is the people, because I was the same way going into I always wanted to be a Marine, but I didn't know if I wanted to do college first and then possibly go officer and do all that stuff.
So pause real quick before I get to that. So Jenna from Bibliophill commented in the chat saying high school should have more classes that introduce students to different career paths so they can get a taste for different things.
And they tried that in some states. They have the junior year vocational schools.
And then Tabby says, I felt forced into uni because it's what was expected and I was no way ready for it. So
I don't think university should be forced on anyone. I think that university should be a personal choice and not a requirement. I think when parents start pushing their child, and I understand you want what is better for your child, you want your child to have a better life, but when you start enforcing these expectations on your children, then your children don't have a chance to excel and to grow on a personal level. It then becomes a quest to fulfill a pride in their parents. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to please your parents. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make your parents proud. But when you are trying to achieve something as immaculate as a degree for someone other than yourself, then the journey isn't fulfilled wholeheartedly, because it then becomes a quest to just complete a degree to say, I did this. But did you really do it for you, or did you do it for mom and dad? Or did you, I mean, I understand not every household is a mom-dad situation, but did you do it for anyone other than yourself? Because
because it could take years to figure out what you want to be. I mean, my mom, she tells me all the time, I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up, but I think she might have found her calling now. She's a teaching assistant for a preschool, because she knows how to teach those kids, and the kids love her. So I think she finally found her calling and whatnot. So I think it's just, I don't know, it's crazy, because when you thinking about going to college, you're constantly trying to figure out, well, what am I going to do? Should I take this course, or no? Am I going to waste money to do this course and then find out later that I want to do something else? I don't know. It can be very confusing.
My senior year, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and sometimes it's not even about getting a degree. Sometimes it's just about trying new things. Because, I mean, if you look at my resume, some people would say, I have resume ADHD, because I never stayed with one particular job for a very long time. But I did that for a reason. I stayed with a job until it didn't suit me anymore, until I was either not able to climb the ladder, or I hit a brick wall in the sense of monetary, fulfillment, or monetary kickback, or what have you. I only stay with something as long as it serves a purpose. And I think so often we get caught up in this drum stay where we are in life and that we have to continue on the path because it's going to get better. Don't do that to you. So short and so unexpected that you need to try new things. Even if whatever it is that you want to try isn't whatever you to do it because it makes you happy. And then at the end of the day, you are going to figure out where you belong and what makes you happy. I would say I am who I am because I have tried so many different things. And honestly, looking back, I had everything from a personal and professional aspect of my life. I'm not perfect because and what those experiences have brought me to.
I can agree with that up to the point of responsibility. At the point where, okay, doing what you need to do to make you happy. I mean, I found this career course that I never heard of cryogenics until I was getting ready to get out of the Marine Corps. And my father-in-law went, "You have a daughter and a wife that you need to provide for."
Did you really make that?
And you need to start doing this. Now, he didn't really hit me, but he smacked some sense into me. And
my dad is still laughing. Stop it. Dad, Thomas loves you. I promise.
He pushed me to actually realize, this is something that you need to do. You have 5 years experience. This is here. Do this. Look at this. Start looking at career options. So I did that. And now I'm making good money. And I realized, I love operating these plants. I love making liquid oxygen, argon, nitrogen, even when I learn about it, hydrogen.
All that stuff is going way over my head.
I love that process, refrigeration, the whole nine. I never would have thought that. I was good at it in the Marine Corps, but then afterward, it was kind of like, there's not a job field for this. There's not a multi-billion dollar industry for this. And I realized I was wrong. There's so many jobs like that are out there that nobody knows about, and they think they have to have this degree. They have to have a degree in order to be successful. You don't. I'm above the.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm in the middle class because of the fact of what I'm doing, and I love it. And now I can look at college things that I already have an idea on, and then build on that, and then build myself completely up to where, one day maybe I will be in the top 10%.
Oh yeah, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I know that not all of us are going to be in a position where we're able to just be fra la la decisions because it just suits the need of happiness. If you're in a position where you are a caregiver of a responsibility, you have children, you're in a relationship where you're part of that, bread and butter situation, then no, sometimes, you do have to put yourself in a situation where money talks. But inevitably, I'm saying if you are in a situation where fulfill personal needs then by all means, don't feel that you need to be pigeonholed. And that's all I mean by that. It's just find your niche of happy if it is conducive to your life.
Yeah, and I understood the point you were making. I wanted to make sure that it was clarified for the viewers, because I completely agree with you. And Lori has that little foothold in because she can find out what she wants to do.
Huh?
Where while I'm providing, she can figure out what she wants to do.
I have no idea what I want to do. I'm a stay-at-home mom right now. That is my focus.
There's nothing wrong with that. You will figure it out when the time is right.
Yeah, hopefully.
So that was a half an hour conversation in and of itself. Do you have another thing that we can branch off of for the? You started out with what the channel was going to go to, and then went from there. Do you have anything for Cami?
Oh, no, I was just really interested about her love for horror and the ranching aspect, because I don't know if you caught it, Cami, because he wants a ranch of his own one day. He wants to live out in a rural area, and I used to be.
I want the mountains. I don't want a rural area. I want the mountains so I can see my enemies coming from afar.
Oh, I get into that. So Jenna says stay-at-home mom is an important job too, and I agree, it is. And I guess I'm gonna be real here, because I don't know if there's another stay-at-home mom that's watching. I don't know if there is, but being a stay-at-home mom can be so hard, and I'm sure everybody can agree to that. But I never knew how hard a stay-at-home mom would be until I became one. Like, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and I didn't realize it was that hard because it could be so draining because you need to be there for your kid 24/7. And it's even harder when, like, you're away from your family, which is my situation right now. I am 8 hours away from my family. We've been living in Pennsylvania for like 3 years, and we have like one acquaintance that we see maybe once every 6 months or so because she's a teacher and she has her own kid. And it gets really lonely, especially when he works 12 hours. So I think that's one of the other reasons why I decided to do BookTube, because I just felt so lonely, and I felt like, not that I lost my identity or anything like that. It's just that I miss having people to talk to. And I just, it was just a really dark time. And I miss connecting with people that are around my age, not necessarily my age, because obviously, as you said, you're older, but it's just a nice mental break to be able to connect with somebody and kind of just alleviate the stress of being a stay-at-home mom, because it's very overwhelming sometimes.
Steve, thanks for the follow.
My mom was a stay-at-home mom. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. I mean, I wouldn't have had it any other way. I was a very fortunate kid that I got, that type of mom that would drive me to the bus stop if it was and pick me up if I was sick.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. It's mentally and physically draining. And I don't think that people really put into perspective how much a stay-at-home mom does, because in addition to taking care of your kids and yourself, you have a home to take care of, and then you have the other household responsibilities and obligations, in addition to making sure that Thomas is taken care of. That whether you're the type of wife that makes his lunch and sees him out the door every morning.
Not my lunch.
Well, my mom still does. My mom has been waking up with my dad for the last 35 years and making his lunch and making sure that he has what he needs to ensure that his day. No, my mom's incredible. She really is. She's the pillar of the strength that I am, and I'm learning from my mom. She's so intelligent and she's so articulate, and I am of my mom, and she is such a great example. So I know that you being there for your kids, holding it together and keeping up with everything that you do, you're going to be a great example. And 20 years from now, you're going to look back and your kids are going to say some things to you that you're not even prevalent, that they're paying attention to, that they're latching on to. I say some things to my mom sometimes and she's like, really, you notice that? Or really, you see that? And I think it's so important for us to have that line of communication open with our parents and let them know why they're important to us, because it shapes us. Inevitably, it's why we become who we become, good, bad, or otherwise.
I completely agree.
I feel like your mom and my mom would get along perfectly, because my mom
in there too.
Yeah, our moms would be great. Bailey said she's a working mom, but she's so thankful to have her mom as a nanny, and that's awesome. Bailey.
Major respect to you.
Yes, working moms.
I don't know how.
Have it. I see working moms too as super moms. Having to go to work, being able to help provide for their family, then come home, take care of their kids on top of the other responsibilities.
Oh my God! When Lori gives me the option to put the kids to bed, sometimes when I'm working after a 12-hour shift and a long day at work, and it's like they're gonna throw a fit, they're only gonna be up for a half hour. Just put their butts to bed. Oh my God.
But someday you'll look back, Thomas, and you'll wonder where the time went. They're going to grow up before you know it, and they're going to be graduating high school, and it's all those moments that you need to hold on to.
Don't remind me. I already want baby number 3 because of that thought.
But the problem I have is that I am the one that usually is the first one to yell and the first one to end the problem immediately. So when I work a 12-hour shift and I come home, and then the kids start throwing a temper tantrum. They haven't seen me all day, so I have to be the bad guy, and I start yelling. And then it's like, I feel like sometimes it's like, oh, man, now that's all that they're going to remember that for today. Not that they're going to remember that 10 years down the road, but considering they're only 2 and 3.
Okay, hold up. Steve loves to do laundry.
Dude.
Why?
Is that even a thing?
I've never heard of a guy loving laundry.
I don't know of anyone that loves to do laundry.
And he's also in charge.
I love the smell of dryer sheet.
That's actually dryer sheets are great. Not the scented ones, but like the regular ones.
It builds character. This is true.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It teaches you to sit there and play video games with an alarm and says, "Go fold these clothes."
What video game system do you play on?
PS4 and Switch.
I have a PS4, but I just learned the other day that it's a Blu-ray player, and I've had it for over a year.
Oh my God. You're showing your age.
In my defense, Thomas, I am a decade older than you.
Okay, no. I have something that trumps you. And this isn't making fun of my mom. I just think this is cute when my mom does this.
Wait, before you do that, think about the things that I have on you that I could bring up in defense of your
But this is the cute thing about my mom. This is so cute of my mom. Just Dad, if Mama's watching, just tell her that I love her. And frozen.
Aww.
Because
who cheats? Pops?
My mom.
Who cheats?
Sometimes she doesn't know how to turn on the TV, so she'll be like, Put on TV. Put on TV. It's just really cute, and sometimes she'll have to ask how to work the DVD player.
I don't know. Lately, she works it better than your dad does.
Oh, that's sad.
The technology is past his 50th birthday is coming up, so we got to do the over the hill party. Yeah, because he's getting old.
Will you just stop? You're attacking my dad online. That's cyberbullying.
No, there's no such thing. He's fine. I treat him the same way in real life, so it's not cyberbullying. It's just bullying.
Anyways, we were talking about PS4.
I could bring up the
Cammy, do you play any video games? Cammy, do you play any video games?
I am a retro video game player. I have a lot of classic systems. So I have an Atari, I have a Sega Genesis, I have a Nintendo an original NES. I have a PlayStation 1 and 2 and 4. I don't know why I don't have a 3. I don't know why.
3 was okay.
Whoa, PlayStation 1. I remember PlayStation 1. My dad got a game. It was Dad, what is that first video game called that you got from PlayStation 1? It involved shooting. That's the only one I remembered. And then I remember Pac-Man. Dad got us Pac-Man. So that was
Pac-Man. That's an incredible game, but you have to play that arcade style.
I've never played it arcade style.
I am currently
but I am of the generation of arcades. I was the kid that went in with the quarters and played in our. You're talking strategy here. Okay.
So they're starting to bring games from the PS1 to the PS4, and I'm so excited. I actually tried to sneak into GameStop to pre-order Resident Evil 2.
But I wanted Kingdom Hearts 3. So
that's my jam, Resident Evil.
Oh my God, Cammy, you just did it! Ah, you were awesome. You know, you and I have so many agreements on like Twitter.
That's my jam. That's my game.
Oh, wait.
Resident Evil 2.
Pause. Jenna has a question. Lori, Thomas, and Cammy, what are each of your top 3 games? So Cam, you go first. Top 3.
Oh, top 3 games. Any system?
Yeah.
Any system or year?
Sure. Jenna says sure.
Okay. So top games, 3 games of all time. So definitely Pac-Man goes in there, arcade style, because there's just something nostalgic about playing Pac-Man. I don't care where I pick it up, I will forever be a Pac-Man. Don't give me the thumbs down, Thomas. You do not own that right. You were not born in the 80s, so nobody cares, Thomas.
I was
nobody
close,
cares.
okay? I was only 92.
Then again, okay, Mario Kart happens to be probably one of my all-time favorites because I just can't get enough of it. Now, I'm good. gonna have to do really hard to do a differentiation between a first-person shooter type of game and then is in games. So I absolutely love, there's just something great about catching those rings. So Sonic definitely is in my top 3, but Resident Evil is shooter preference games. I just love hunting and I love the whole concept of that game and that style. So be my top games. It's difficult. A lot of classics like Vector Man. I absolutely love Vector Man. And I have a very deep hunch that neither one of you know who Vector Man is.
I don't.
Wah, wah, wah. I just aged myself, but that's okay. I love Vector Man still. Please do, because he's incredible and that music is just, it just sticks in your head. It really does. I don't know. I've been so fortunate to play so many great video games. Classic. I mean, I could have even mentioned Donkey Kong, but I didn't. And that was Donkey Kong, but the alcohol has clearly hit my palate.
Which Donkey Kong?
What? Oh, the original Donkey Kong. Oh, okay. Yes, you're absolutely right. Very different platforms. So if I had to pick, I'd definitely go 64.
Oh my God, the Switch messed up so bad when they sat there and made the new Donkey Kong arcade version. And I bought it thinking that it was the 64. It was going to be like 64.
Not the same. Mm-mm.
Oh, I was so angry.
I'm like the only one that has no idea what the difference is.
So Lori's not a huge gamer.
But
so
I can name 3 games. I can name 3 games because I've only played 3 games. Kingdom Hearts, Spyro, and Crash Bandicoot.
Wah, wah,
oh my gosh!
Oh, you just got wah.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm trying to be gamer like Jenna. Send me some games that I can play as a beginner.
I'll give you Kingdom Hearts because Kingdom Hearts revolutionized the way that people look at games. I will definitely say that is a very epic game, but I can't really speak on Skrillium because I have not played it, but I know that people that love Minecraft think it's a really great game. It's supposed to be very deep and fantasy-esque.
It really is. It's one you definitely have to play.
And so, yeah, so I don't know, of all time, you history under your belt, child. And yes. I just called you a child.
So I have to go for I can't just pick 3. So in all honesty, I got to pick Red Dead Redemption 2.
He's been playing that.
And Red Dead Redemption 1. They're both amazing. I love them. It's not my number 1 game, but it's just the one I'm playing right now, and I'm absolutely in love with it.
That's cool.
The entire Resident Evil series, all of them up to Resident Evil 4. I never played 5 and 6 because I thought they kind of got away from themselves. And the entire Super Smash Brothers series.
Yeah.
Minus
Super Smash Brothers is classic.
Yes, minus the Game Boy Advance and the Wii, because I only played it on the GameCube, the N64, and the Switch.
I think of all time, N64 is my favorite gaming system, though.
No.
It is because I like the controller is very easy to use, and for me that was the epitome of my gaming. I mean, that was when I was a teenager, and so for me everything that I revert back to is on that system. Now if you are anti-64 for whatever reason, then I will give second cred to the PS2 because PS2 brought me Mortal Kombat.
Okay, but the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 2 wasn't too much different.
But I like the controller better for the PS2. And the colors were super cool. It was like a blue, purplish gray.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
I can kind of agree with that. Okay, so we're coming up on 2 hours. People are going to start getting bored, even though our conversation has been amazing. Cammie,
Okay.
do you want to continue this conversation offline?
Absolutely. You guys know I'm always down to talk to you guys.
Well, I think we're going to have to say bye-bye to the audience.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. It was
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We had
And
fun.
we've had 7 viewers the entire time, minus at least 7 viewers the entire time.
That's awesome.
So
What the heck is Goat Simulator?
I saw a tire simulator on my phone.
What is Goat Simulator? I have no idea what that is.
I think
Jenna,
she's just trying to catch us.
Jenna, you're gonna have to message me about that. But thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm glad that
and thank you for the 7 people that stayed with us for the entire almost 2 hours. You guys are amazing.
I play as a goat. Thomas, don't you dare make a comment about that, please. Just back up.
Bad. Bad.
Oh, I'm sorry, I had to. All right, looking forward, please. We'll have another
guest coming up next month.
Yes.
Look forward to seeing you guys.
Yes. All right. Thank you. And thank you again, Cammie, for joining us. It was so much fun.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me and thank you for asking me. It was an honor.
Paalam, Luis. Hanggang sa muli. Bye-bye.